29M. Been betraying my friend, 30F, for over a year by sleeping with her boyfriend, 28M. Do I tell her? Our relationship advice. I'm in a bad spot made entirely of my own stupidity and selfishness. I want to lead by saying I am not excusing or condoning my behavior at any point in this post. I just need some advice. This is long. I met my friend who I will refer to as Jessica for 12 years. We met at my first job. She is a great person who has been so valuable in my life. I'm openly gay and she was there for me when I came out to my parents who didn't take it well. Our friendship has gone in phases of being very close and less close, but we have always kept in touch. We have been on very close terms for about 3 years, the closest we have been since we worked together. We hang out every couple of weeks and text on a consistent basis. I would call Jessica my best friend at the moment despite the fact that behind her back I am a horrible friend. Jessica has a boyfriend I will call Brian. They have been together for 4 years. They live together. Usually when I see Jessica she brings Brian. I always thought he was a good guy. We have a lot in common and we developed a small friendship outside of Jessica, something she is supportive of. I wouldn't say we were as close but we chatted over text sometimes. Before we started hooking up we almost never hung out without her. I noticed myself developing a bit of a crush on Brian a few years ago. I didn't think anything of it. He isn't my usual type, but he is still very cute and we get along well. I started hoping he would come each time I saw Jessica and got disappointed times he didn't. Things started getting a little weird the holiday season before last. A group of us went on a ski trip. Jessica and Brian were there. On one of the days Brian and I went skiing alone before the rest of the group joined us. It was thrilling for me to be alone with him. That should have been a red flag. It was only a few hours but we had a great time. I was disappointed when the rest of the group joined us. We just seemed to get closer that day. Through the rest of the trip we spent a little more time together and that continued when we got home. I remember catching his eye and us smiling at each other a lot. When we got home we started texting more. It wasn't long before I was texting him more often than Jessica. My feelings for him were growing but I still thought he was strictly into women so there was no harm. We started hanging out one-on-one to do things Jessica wasn't interested in, like golfing. I hate golfing too but I got into it to spend more time with him. Again, Jessica was supportive. One day he told me he had something big to share that he hadn't told anyone. After making me promise not to tell anyone he told me he thinks he is bisexual. He said he had always had interest in guys but never acted on it. I shared some of my experience as a gay. I felt weird that I knew this big thing that Jessica didn't know, but at the same time I felt good about it too. Like he felt safer with me. A couple of months passed before we did anything sexual. Over that time our friendship got stronger. We were showing each other more affection. We hugged more and put our arms over each other's shoulders. Sometimes I would accidentally put my leg touching his while sitting next to him, or accidentally touch his hand while we were walking. If I felt any guilt about this, I shoved it down. Then we had our first kiss. That same day we started doing sexual things. That was over a year ago. Now we are essentially in a secret relationship. I'm the only man he has ever been with. I've been assuring myself it is okay because Brian takes the bottom role when we have sex, which is something he can't do with Jessica. I know it is stupid logic but I was doing mental gymnastics. We have sex about 2-3 times a week. Always at my place. It isn't just sex. We are in love. He is also still in love with Jessica. Jessica does not suspect a thing. Our friendship has changed for me a lot because I feel extremely guilty when I see her. Most of the time I have been able to put those feelings aside, but lately that is harder to do. It is hard to look someone you love in the eye and know you are doing something that would break their heart. She has so much love for Brian and I would honestly start distancing myself from her out of my own guilt, but I am afraid it will look suspicious for me to keep seeing Brian if she and I are no longer close. I know that is selfish and disgusting. Jessica confided in me that Brian is going to propose soon. When I asked him about it he confirmed it and told me they have gone ring shopping. He told me he still wants to be with me but he doesn't want to lose Jessica. Now here is why I am a mess right now. My dormant feelings have all come screaming to the surface. I feel like the biggest piece of shit on earth. Everything in me is saying I cannot let Jessica marry a man who is cheating on her and who is likely gay. He has confided some personal stuff to me that suggests he is less into women than he thought. If I tell Jessica it will kill her. She loves us. She has been cheated on in a past relationship that really traumatized her. I will ruin her ability to trust forever. Also, she really wants to have children soon, and I feel bad I have basically destroyed her relationship as she is in her 30s and ready to settle down. Another thing to consider is Brian. If I tell her, he will hate me. I know I am an asshole, but I love him. Our relationship will end if I tell. I will lose them both. Also, Brian is in the closet with no intention on coming out, maybe ever. I don't feel right outing him like that. I'm torn over my loyalty to each of them. I'm also sad and jealous he is planning on marrying someone else. I know I don't have a right to feel this way. I know the knee-jerk reaction for most people is for me to tell Jessica the truth. But I think our situation is more complicated. It would save Jessica the most pain if I allow them to get married and say nothing, but it feels wrong. I've been thinking of telling Brian to break up with Jessica using an excuse. It would crush her, of course, but not as badly, and she would still have our friendship to lean on. Am I just being a coward here? I really do not want to hurt her, even though my actions suggest otherwise. It has been weeks of agony and turmoil. I feel I am limited in time of making a decision on what to do, as he is planning to propose in May or June. Do I have to tell her?